Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Auntie Anne's Story Time again today. Are you ready for a story? Maybe before we start, we should do some exercises. How about reaching up as high as you can? Now, can you take your hands and touch your toes? What about grabbing your hands and giving them a clap? And now shaking it all out. That feels better. Now take a deep breath, blow it out. And now we're relaxed and ready to start our story. So today's story is about a duck, and the duck's name is Henry, and it's about a little ant. Now, how many of you know what an ant looks like? Have you seen an ant outside? Sometimes you'll see them on the sidewalks. They're just little creatures, but they're smart. That's for sure. Today's story is about a smart little ant and a duck named Henry. And it's called Henry's Awful Mistake. Henry likes to cook. I wonder if you like to help out in the kitchen too. When we begin our story, Henry is in the kitchen cooking. And he's having a fine time. He's got the pots and pans. He looks like he's making a nice salad. He's decided to invite his friend Clara over for dinner. And just as he's getting busy and finishing the dinner, he looks down and what does he see? What's on the ground there? Can you see? A little tiny ant. Oh boy, Henry was worried because he said, Clara's going to see that ant and she's going to think his house isn't very clean. You know what? That ant has just got to go. So he opened up the cupboard and I see inside the cupboard there was something called ant spray. The more he thought about it, he couldn't use ant spray. He was cooking. He didn't want it on the food. So he picked up a big frying pan that was hanging by the stove and he started chasing that little ant all over the kitchen. Well, that must have been quite a sight indeed. Well, that ant went here, went there, and then it snuck behind the stove. Do you see? There's Henry. He sees him going behind the stove. Henry was frustrated. Now he would have to take all the food off the stove, and he would have to take all the pots and pans, and he pulled the stove out from the wall, and there was the ant right behind the stove. Can you see the ant? Oh, he's getting more and more frustrated. No sooner did he see the ant than he saw the ant sneak through a little hole in the wall, a little crack. Now what would he do? So he said, this is the only thing I can do. I'm going to go and get a hammer. Now, you know what a hammer's like. Usually we use a hammer if we're hammering in nails. So Henry started and he pounded a big, huge hole in the wall. He pounded and pounded, but he could not see the ant. So he kept on pounding and the hole got bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, he looked up and what did he see? He saw the ant. And where was the ant? The ant was on a pipe. So what do you think Henry did? He took his big hammer and he aimed right for the ant, but he missed. And what did he hit? He hit the pipe. Oh my gosh. And then what do you think happened? You're right. Water came shooting everywhere. Look at it. Right in Henry's face. He couldn't stop the water. So quickly he grabbed a towel from beside the basin and he tied it around the pipe. But look at the water. It was everywhere. The only thing he noticed was luckily it hadn't landed on Clara's dinner. Whew, that's good news. But when he looked at the rest of the kitchen, he realized there was water everywhere. What is that on the floor? Big puddles of water. And what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen to Henry? You're right. Henry slipped and the food and the pots and pans went everywhere. Oh my goodness, look at poor Henry. So he had to pick up the phone and call Clara and say, I'm really sorry, but I can't have you for dinner tonight. While he was talking to Clara on the phone, the towel became loose and the water flooded out. And look at, there's him talking on the phone. And now he's being like a river. He's being washed right out of his house. Oh gosh. And look what happened. The house ended up in a big, big puddle. Look who's behind him. It looks like the ant got flooded out too. Anyhow, Henry took as many things as he could from the house, and he saved what he could, and he moved into a new house. Oh, I'm happy for Henry. That's good. And you know, he got settled in that new house, and he really liked it. And as soon as he was settled, he decided he'd ask Clara to come for dinner again. And just as Clara arrived, he looked down at his feet, and what did he see? Oh no! That little black ant had followed him. And what do you think Henry did? What do you think Henry did? You're right. Henry looked the other way. I wouldn't want to go through that mess again, would you? So I bet next time you see an ant, you're going to think about an ant differently. They're pretty smart, those little ants. Anyhow, I'm glad you enjoyed the story today, and I hope you go and enjoy the rest of your week and have fun playing with your sisters and brothers and your mums and dads. And I will look forward to seeing you here next week with another story from Auntie Anne's Story Time. Until then, bye.